Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. This white piece of paper can only mean one thing. Today, we're going to be taking a look at an amplifier. That's right, it's an unboxing. Let's get started. Ooh. Look at that, Warhorse. I know, right? Don't stop watching because chances are you haven't seen this Warhorse. That's right, today we're gonna be looking at the 4-channel version of the Warhorse, the WXA1004, not the big sub amp that, well, everyone's probably seen at this point. We'll get around to that one, but I thought this one would be way more fun to take a look at because, well, I knew no one would be looking at it. You want the big one, right? Everybody wants the monster. Well, this is a monster in its own right, and today we're gonna find out all about it, and we'll also be doing a real world amp dyno on it just to see, does this match up to its big partner? Let's get going. For those of you new to the Warhorse line, this was a series of amplifiers that was introduced way back in the past. It was a giant 10,000 watt subwoofer amplifier that was revolutionary for its time. It used techniques that, well, no one had thought to use yet. It was a monster. It was gigantic. It could power a small city. It was really impressive. And then it wasn't. Then it was gone, and then no one, it just kind of got lost in the sands of time. But like all good things, eventually the wind will come and it'll blow it off and we'll find it again. And now we have the new version of the Warhorse, re-envisioned for today's world, not that of the past. This is pretty cool because we can take what we've learned from the past and apply it to what we've learned up until this point and put it into one heck of an amplifier. Physically speaking, 3 of these could fit inside of what the old Warhorse was. It was gigantic. But they never made a 4-channel, and that's why this is so intriguing. We got the old logo back, which is fantastic. On the top of the box, kicker is celebrating 50 years. Over here in the corner, it says 4-channel amplifier, and then repeats it in several different languages with the model number. Coming over to the other side, 2,000 watts of dynamic power. If you'd like to know what they mean by dynamic power, they do list that here in the owner's manual, a description of how they come up with this number. But the one we're most likely going to be looking for today is the 1,000 watts RMS. Flipping it onto the side, really don't have anything other than a picture of the amplifier and what was repeated onto the front. The ends, it's so tall. There's really nothing on the ends either. The back side of the box, same as the front, but the bottom, like most bottoms, it does have some usable information that we should be taking a look at. The first and most noticeable thing is the size of the amplifier. It is a beast. We're talking 13 3/8 long and 2 9/16 tall with a width of 9 1/8. Big amplifier, heavy amplifier. They also give the size of the diagnostic tool that it comes with, which is 1 5/16 by 2 1/2, and the depth on it is 1 1/2. This also has a magnet to allow it to stick to things. But the information that most people are interested are up here. RMS power is into 14.4. We're gonna be doing real world on this, so it's gonna be less power than that for sure. 2 ohm, this thing is supposed to do 450 by 4 at 4 ohm, 250 by 4. Can we just take a moment and realize how much power that is for an amplifier? Like 450 watts by 4 is crazy. I know there's a lot of amps that do that now, but still, it's ridiculous. Bridged is 900 watts by 2. Dynamic power burst, 2,000 watts. And that goes on, frequency response is 10 to 20,000. And you get your signal to noise. Input sensitivity is up to 40 volts of input sensitivity in the high level mode, so you can connect this to a factory amplifier if you're so inclined to do that. Selectable crossovers. But yeah, and then of course it has it in a couple different languages. So there's a lot of information on the box, which is cool, but let's open it up now and see what that all means. Anytime you get a kicker amplifier, the first thing that is on the top of the box is the burst certificate. They do each one of these when the amplifier is created. And if you send it back for any form of service, you can request an updated version of it. Before it leaves, it gets done as well. This one is coming in at 1949. Sounds like a really cool year. This also can be, it's a nice piece. I mean, you could put this in a plaque on the wall, you know, whatever you want. Also get a bag of silicate to keep the moisture out of the amplifier. Every single kicker product comes with this sticker right here. It says stop. If you have a problem, please do not return product to the store. Kicker Tech Support can assist you. This is very important. If you show back up to the store with this and you haven't called this, it's going to make it very difficult to get an RA or anything like that. Sometimes the problems that the amplifier might have are just simply you didn't read the manual or you didn't watch this video and you just don't know what you don't know, and it could be something very simple, but it helps. That's why they give you this. Please reach out. They give you a phone number, they give you an email address. It makes things very easy to do. We have tons of foam that is holding this thing in place. Over here on the side, we have our diagnostic tool. This little guy right here, which is pretty cool. It's supposed to be magnetic. And what you do is you take this little piece here, and this will mount to underneath the dash, wherever you want to put it. And then this will clip into place. The cable that it comes with is 19.2 feet long. Plenty of length to go wherever you would like with it. Let's take a closer look at it and we'll see some of the features that this is going to tell us. First up is the power LED, green amp on, no LED is amp off. Then there's the power supply light, which is directly next to it. If it's off, system is normal. If it's red, amp is in protection mode. Below that, we have the temperature LED. Green, amp is on and temperature is below 65 degrees centigrade. Orange, amp is on, temperature is above 65 degrees centigrade, but below 85 degrees centigrade. And if it's red, the amp is in thermal protection mode. Amp is next, off, system is normal. Red, amp is in class D protection mode. Next, we have the voltage. It has an LED and a button. If the LED is off, everything is working fine. If it is red, power LED on, under voltage warning. Supply voltage is 6.5 volts, but less than 10.5 volts. Red power LED off, under voltage or over voltage supply voltage is 6.5 DC or over 16 volts DC. So basically it's going to tell you what your battery voltage is and whether that's good or bad for the amplifier. It's a neat little piece. It does not have to be plugged in if you don't want it to, but if you're one of those guys that likes to know everything there is to know about your amplifier, it is pretty cool. And of course this is a voltmeter to give you real-time battery voltage. There is 2 screws here on the front, which means we're going to take them off. And what that does is that allows us to take this piece out of the metal housing. If we would like to flush this into the dash or into a panel or into anything else, we can do that now because this is removable. Still plugs in. It has a nice lip on it to make it easy to do that. There is also 4 more screws on the back here. And if we remove those, it detaches the front screen. We can pull the full unit out and take a look at the raw circuit board. I'm thinking this would be if you really want to do some crazy stuff or this is going to hit, or probably don't do this. But that's what it looks like. And it does say kicker on here, which is really cool. All right, let's take a look at the amplifier itself. First big piece of foam. This is all protection for the amplifier. Second piece of foam. And that gets our amplifier free to get to this guy right here. This is the owner's manual. If you would like to take a look at the owner's manual, it is fully available. This whole piece is available for you online at kicker.com. Let's take a quick look at it and see what's inside. Like most manufacturers, they do give you a bag of screws. Now these are some of the coarsest screws I have ever seen, along with 2 Allen keys. My guess is if you're going to be screwing this into wood, you're going to want to make sure that this thing is heavy. Use some really nice screws. Kicker likes to use colors to denote product lineups. Warhorse is orange. That means everything you're going to find out about the Warhorse will have orange in color. Opening it up on the first page, it gives you all that information that we got from the box. Goes into the crossovers a little bit more. I want to wait till we get to the switches on the side of the amplifier before we dive into that. They have a whole paragraph on mounting and some of the cool benefits of this amplifier. Talks about if you're going to do an RCA hookup or high-level hookup. Some of the new products available for installing this, such as distribution blocks, how to wire up some of the system, power, ground, depending on how many speakers you're going to be connecting, input and output for remote turn-ons, more system design, goes into a breakdown of the side of the amplifier, the same information that we just told you about the diagnostic tool. But we're all here to see this guy. Let's open it up. Kicker put together a really good description of what it means to be a Warhorse. I'm going to read it to you. Extreme engineering. Every aspect of the Warhorse was tortured mercilessly in our labs to ensure extreme performance and reliability. It was engineered completely in-house by Kicker Research and Development for ultra-high SPL and application. The funny thing is while this amplifier was being developed, we were getting pictures of it, we were getting updates on it, and we were hearing about the extreme torture that this was doing. Some of the devices that they had in-house that were being destroyed, and they were have to reinvent because of the amount of fun they were having to ensure that when you get this amplifier, it delivers on its promise. This is like nothing else Kicker has ever built, even with the old Warhorses. These are a whole new animal. Yeah, that's a pun. Let's take a look at the ends and talk about what we have. Kicker loves to put their logo on things, and this amplifier is no exception to that. We have these two Kicker logos here with the mesh behind it that you can see down into the fins. These fins go all the way down to the bottom of the circuit board. They're fully functional heat sinks. These aren't cosmetic, they're designed to cool this amplifier. Everything about this amplifier was engineered for the extreme use, as they said. They did not skip on any of that in their outputs. We have 0 gauge inputs for both power and ground, and then everything else from the remote turn on out to the speakers is an 8 gauge terminal. You might be asking why there's a remote here and a remote there. Well, it's a bus bar so that you can daisy chain as many of these as you want. You can come in, you can come out. That way you're not trying to fit a wire in or crimp it, do anything. It makes installation of these very simple. They kind of figured that most people are going to be buying more than one of these to power all their mids and highs. And having 8 gauge outputs for the speaker output does make a lot of sense because you may be putting several pairs of speakers onto this amplifier. Considering a lot of the loudspeakers that this is designed to work with come 8 ohm, that means you could have 16 8 ohm speakers coming into this amplifier. You'd want to make sure you have a pretty big hole so that you don't get frays coming out or anything like that, because, well, let's be honest, not everybody knows what a ferrule is, but if you do, make sure you use them. Configuration for power output is positive, negative, positive, negative. Amp 1 is on top, amp 2 is on the bottom. Now for the heart of every amplifier, which is the input portion of it. This is the part I really like. Tiffany style connectors, amp 1, amp 2, output. This allows you, if for some reason you're using something that only has a front and rear out, you can plug both of those in and then come directly out of the output off to a sub amplifier if you need to. Input level control, it's a button for high level and low level. The fader control is for if you decide you're just going to put one RCA in through amp 1. If you push this button down, you do not have to put anything into amp 2, and also the output will still work. That means if you're going to use this amplifier just to power, let's say, your tweeters, and you're going to get a second one of these just to power your mid-range, and you only want to put one RCA in to do that, you can. Up here on the top is amplifier 1. We have off, high pass, and low pass, 10 to 500 hertz. That's a pretty big swing. However, the button here says even more. This is a 10-time multiplier switch. So now, if I push this in, we can use this channel to power tweeters actively through this crossover, because we're going to multiply these two numbers by 10. Amplifier 2 says off, high pass, low pass, and band pass. That gives us a high pass of 10 to 500 hertz, just like we have on the top, but also gives us a low pass of 100 to 5K. The reason why they do this is this has a built-in 10-time multiplier switch already turned on. The band pass channel would be for if you're going to use this for mid-range. You could take this amplifier and use channels 1 and 2 to actively power all your tweeters, and use channels 3 and 4 to actively power all your mid-range, and adjust these accordingly. All crossovers on the amplifier are 24 dB Butterworth crossovers. And lastly, gains are located here next to our input level switch, and on the bottom next to our fader switch. In the far corner we have the power and protect light. Remember, if red is on, you're having a bad day. Below the LEDs is the input connector for the diagnostic tool. On the back of the amplifier we have 4 screws across the top, 4 screws across the bottom. Let's take this thing apart and see what it looks like. One thing to note about the power supply in this amplifier, which this is pretty crazy, but this amplifier is fully stop-start compatible, which means this amplifier can play down to 6.5 volts, which is just crazy considering how big this amplifier is. That doesn't mean it's going to put out its power at that voltage. That just means the amplifier will work and not shut off if the battery voltage goes down crazy. They also use their fit technology to protect the amplifier. And for those of you that are curious, this sticker right here says made in Thailand. Let's pop the top on this guy. The funny thing is when we pull the tops off these, I like to just sit here and stare at them for a while like most people do. I've also just noticed the amplifier is upside down. Let's flip it around. And also zoom in some. The first thing I look for in any amplifier is cool little icons or logos. We have our kicker logo here, version 1.3. There's a little book down here in the corner that says WH. It is a multi-layered circuit board for sure, because we can see that through here. There are giant trace leads on it, 2 giant power supplies. Output devices are along the outside, fully taking advantage of as much thermal dissipation as they can. We have these giant bars coming in. They're screwed in from the other side into the circuit board, as well as there's 10 solder points underneath them that you can clearly see. That is pretty incredible. Giant bus bars for the remote turn on. I mean, the remote turn-on bus bars are bigger than most power inputs on amplifiers. This is crazy how much they have. Speakers are no different. These are giant pieces. There's an over-under. There's a smaller one underneath, but they're pretty big. Let's take a closer look at those. They're simply massive, what these things are, and even the remote turn on is just gigantic. These holes here are for the screws that are coming up from the other side of the circuit board. It is 2 amplifiers and 1 heatsink. This is an amplifier here on this side. This is another amplifier on that side. This is a dual stereo design 4-channel amplifier. That's pretty awesome. I mean, this amplifier on itself is just a standard 2-channel amplifier. Is bigger than what most people use as their standard amplifier. But this is a giant amplifier. What do you expect? Here on the side of the amplifier where the screws go, there's a little piece of felt tape both sides. Keep this panel here from heating up and warping and rattling and doing bad things. And down here in the very corner, you can't see it because it's black on black, but it has the manufacturing date. This one was made in May 13th of 2024. Fuse-wise, this amplifier requires a 200 amp fuse. Enough talking about the amplifier and how cool it is and how much it just looks amazing. And yeah, let's get this thing over to the amp dyno and see how much power this thing puts out. Certified dyno run, 4 ohms stereo, 252 at 4 ohms, both channels. Next up, certified dyno run, 2 ohms stereo, 457 and 446 watts per channel at 2 ohms. Next up is uncertified dyno run, 4 ohm, 270 and 258. Uncertified 2 ohm run is next, 457 and 446. My favorite test next, the dynamic burst test, 4 ohm, 273 watts on both channels. 2 ohms is next, 499 and 503 per channel at 2 ohms. Now, no 4-channel amp dyno would be complete in your guys' eye without doing a bridge test. Certified 4 ohm, bridged. Oh my gosh, 1136 watts. Uncertified 4 ohm is next. And uncertified gave us 976 watts. Dynamic burst, 4 ohm, and she tops out at 1127 watts. Wow guys, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing amp dyno video for the new Kicker Warhorse 4-channel WXA1004. There you go. If you're looking for the biggest 4-channel, yeah, this is the one. Fernando, if you please.
On to the next one, guys.
You guys have a great night as always. We'll see you later on the next one.
Bye.